Today we want to talk about something that I feel like is important. What is it? Well, today we're going to talk about how can we know God. There's a lot of people that have all these images of what God's like, what his nature's like, and a lot of times they're just wrong. We get this impression that he's overly judgmental because of the reality of hell, or we feel like that he's powerless because he doesn't do anything about a certain situation that we might care about. But the fact of the matter is, we actually do have a way to get to know God. In John chapter 14, we have a story, and I'd like for you to pause the video for a moment. Go read John chapter 14, at least the first 11 verses. All right, did you read it? Good. So now you know what we're talking about. Jesus starts off in the first few verses predicting that he's going to go away. And when he returns, he's coming to receive all of his followers unto himself. He's going away to make a place for us so that we can be with him forever. And then he says something that's probably one of the most divisive statements in all of human history. He says, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. He's letting them know that if you want to go where he's going, which is heaven, then you know the way. He is the way. And then he goes on to say, I and my Father are one. Well, Philip doesn't really get this. He doesn't understand it at all. And he says, wait a minute, Jesus, show us the Father. If you'll show us the Father, we'll be satisfied. And Jesus says something that confuses a lot of people. He looks at them and says, have I been with you so long, Philip? Don't you recognize me? And then he goes on to say, I and my Father are one. It's kind of this whole back and forth thing there for a second, like those old whatchamacallit commercials. You know, well, what have you got? Whatchamacallit? Well, I asked you the name. I told you the name. Did not, did to. You said whatchamacallit. That's right. You remember that old commercial. If you don't, look it up on YouTube. And Jesus tells him that he and the Father are one. Then Philip says, show us the Father. And Jesus says, I just told you who I am. See, Jesus was telling him he and his Father are one. Now, for a lot of people, we want to have these big mountaintop experiences like Moses and be able to know the nature and personality of God up close and personal. Luckily for us, we don't have to do that. We have Jesus. See, Jesus actually says that if we know him, then we know the Father. Now that's cool because a lot of people don't think that Jesus ever claims to be God, but here, that's exactly what he's saying. I and my Father are one. He even goes on to further that statement by saying to the disciples that they both knew the Father and had literally seen him by looking at Jesus. Jesus was calling himself to his followers. I am God. I'm God in the flesh. That's what we celebrate at Christmas when we sing the songs about Emmanuel, God with us. Jesus is God in the flesh. But even after his declaration of his identity, Philip doesn't get it. But see, a lot of people today don't get it either. They think that Jesus was just a man, or that he wasn't even here, that it was just some made up stories. But see, Jesus was truly God incarnate. Maybe someday I'll take the time to do a video showing the historical accuracy of the scriptures and the disciples' stories, their historical records of who Jesus was. But that's for a different time. Jesus is God incarnate. He's God in the body, God in the flesh. Jesus again tells Philip, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. He explains that God the Father and Jesus are so intertwined that you can't experience one without experiencing the other. And Jesus tells him to know the Father is to get to know me. What's Jesus saying there? Jesus is saying, letting us know that he and his Father are in each other. You know, it's part of the Trinity. And that's a lot of things, that's something that gets a lot of people tripped up. But the Trinity is something that, it's hard, but it's easy. I have a pickup truck parked over here, and it's got a lot of different parts, but it's just one truck. You take away the engine, that truck doesn't work. It's not a truck. It's just an image of a truck. You take away the steering wheel. It's not drivable. It's not really a truck. It's just the image of a truck. And Jesus is saying, him and the Father are so intertwined that if you know one, you know the other. And then he offers the proof of his claims of being God. The works that he did. I mean, think about it. It's not just the sermons that Jesus preached. It was his life, his sinless life. It was the miracles. It was, raising the sick, raising the dead to life, healing the sick. All those things that proved that only he could be God. So if you want to get to know God, get to know Jesus. Get in his word. Pray and ask him, Jesus, reveal yourself to me. And I believe that he will. Until next time, this is Hanging with Pastor Chris.